Hello, church. It's Pastor Steve here with our Monday Minute for May the 3rd of 2021. It's a great and glorious day, and I'm actually be able to record back outside in our patio on our little outdoor recording studio here, which is a joy. With all this up and down weather we're actually having this spring, we never know what's going to come next, so we're taking advantage of today while we can, and I hope that you are too. I do want to remind everyone of a couple of announcements. First of all, of our online town hall meeting that is going to be on Facebook Live. That is tomorrow, Tuesday, May the 4th, Star Wars Day for you fans watching at home. That will be at 7 p.m. again on Facebook Live. And we hope that you'll join us as we share a little bit more information of what we have so far about our return to in-person, limited in-person indoor worship, that is, on Pentecost Sunday, May the 23rd, as well as some other information about upcoming things here for this summer in the church, and also a chance to answer any of your questions. So we look forward to you joining us then tomorrow evening. Our Blessing of the Pets is coming up on Saturday, May the 15th at the church front lawn, and we hope that you'll join us there with your pets as we celebrate all of God's creatures and how much they mean to us. We also are going to be having our outdoor children's concert that is going to be coming up on May the 25th. You can again check out our website at newburgumc.org or any of our social media for more information on those. Lots of exciting things are happening here in the life of our church, and we hope that you'll be able to join us for those as well. We hope that all of these are good signs of things to come, especially when we look at getting back to normal life. And I, as your pastor, want to encourage all of you that whenever you are able to, if you have not already, please get vaccinated when you can to protect yourself and to protect each other. And we can all do our part to return to larger gatherings and activities later on. That leads us to our devotion today. From Romans, the 4th chapter, verses 13 through 17, the Apostle Paul says this: "For the promise he would inherit the world did not come to Abraham or to his descendants through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. If it is the adherents of the law who are to be the heirs, faith is null and the promise is void. For the law brings wrath, but where there is no law, neither is there violation. For this reason, it depends on faith, in order that the promise may rest on grace and be guaranteed to all his descendants, not only the adherents of the law, also to those who share in the faith of Abraham. For he is the father of us all, as it is written, I have made you the father of many nations, in the presence of the God in whom he believed, who gives life to the dead and calls into existence the things that do not exist." It depends on faith that the promise may rest on grace. This passage, I believe, is a good reminder of the faith that we have shown throughout this pandemic, but also the faith that calls us to live our lives not out of fear, but out of grace. When I went to seminary a few years ago, moved to North Carolina, it was the law there then that all new residents had to take a written test to get their driver's license. And in fact, every so many years, when you went to renew your driver's license, you had to take the test again. Now, they even provide a study guide for the test, which is good, and it turns out, in fact, that you need, because when you take the test, you find out it actually has very little to do with driving. I passed it by one question when I took it, and I was glad I didn't have to go back. One of my professors, the now late Dr. Tom Langford, shared his experience of having to go back in and take the test as a part of our theology class. And he admitted that he didn't get the book, he didn't study, thinking, hey, he'd been driving for years, this shouldn't be any problem. But like many people, he went and took the test, and it became very obvious that he wasn't going to pass, at least not this time. So he went back and he turned the test in and said, I'll try again later, and he took the book home to study. One of the questions that he got wrong asked this: what 5 things must you do before entering the freeway? Now, he assumed, like many, that it was talking about driving. And so he put down things like accelerate to the right speed, Make sure to use your turn signal when you're merging into traffic. Check your blind spot, etc. But all of these answers were actually incorrect, according to the test. The answers, in fact, were: make sure you have the proper amount of gas in your car. Make sure your air pressure in your tires is appropriate. Make sure you have working wiper blades, washer fluid, etc. No wonder people in that state had a tough time merging. Sorry for my North Carolina friends there. The thing of it is that question, and the test in general for the most part, it was about driving, but it wasn't about driving. He said that these things that we assume are common sense for operating a car in general, no matter where you were being narrowly and specifically applied to this one thing, and that's what threw him and a lot of people off. This is the stuff we already know, or at least we think we should know. And he went on to say that we really don't have to know a lot of this stuff because we check it out and we take care of it in other parts of our lives. And further, he said, we really don't have to know the nuts and bolts of things to be able to use them and do them. We don't have to know how the car engine or any of the mechanical things actually work in order to drive a car. We have experts for that. We assume that the car is going to work and do what it's supposed to do. And if we run into a problem, then we can get help. Sometimes we humans can approach faith like that. We assume that we have to know all that there is to know about the Bible and of Jesus before we can believe or even belong to a church. I've had several conversations with people like that. Maybe you have too. But that really gets us bogged down in what Paul is warning us about in that 4th chapter of Romans. Rules and laws. As Paul says, this type of Christian legalism can get us into more trouble and confuse people even more than it needs to. But we, on the other hand, actually live by faith. While we don't know exactly why or how God works or moves in people's lives, we know that God does. We don't have to fully understand it all in order to believe it or to receive it. Certainly, we all can continue to grow in the faith and the knowledge and the love of God, and we should. But we cannot and we should not assign the prerequisite for what it is in order to be a part of the family of God. God has already done that. When we get stuck or when we need help, we know that God is there for us. And specifically, we know that because we follow God's Son, who was given to us and was risen for us in Jesus Christ. We continually to move forward, hopefully, rather than backward with this pandemic. And hopefully that will move us also to a new sense of normal. And I hope that all will have the faith to do our part. Get vaccinated. Keep doing the things necessary, like wearing a mask, washing your hands, keeping your distance as needed in order to keep people safe. We have learned so much, and even so, there's a lot that we still don't know. But there is something that we do know. That when we work together in good faith, we can take care of our friends, we can take care of our family and our neighbors by also taking care of ourselves. We don't have to know exactly how all of these things work, but we know and we trust that they can and do all work together, and we have seen the evidence of that. We have people, and God has blessed us with people with knowledge and expertise to keep us safe and to help us to endure, and so that we can go about living again. And that is the grace that Paul is talking about here. That is the grace that does not have to bog us down in any sort of legalism, in the basics of life or in the church. We can have faith. We can believe, and we can welcome, and we can even show love to one another in all that we do, as long as we all do our part. So let's get about doing our part, if we haven't already. In these coming days and weeks, let's do what we need to do in order to have a safe reopening here at the church. And to be reminded once again that through the grace of God in Jesus Christ, we will get through all of this together. So hopefully in all of these things, we will see one another again and see where God's grace has been working in our lives through our faith. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks for all of these activities, for a chance to return to in-person worship or here online, which isn't going anywhere as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night for our town hall as we try to provide some more answers to some of these questions. And then we'll look forward to seeing you also again back here next week for another edition of the Monday Minute.